1,882 earthquakes. 3 exceeded a magnitude 6. 23 of which fell within the magnitude 5 realm. Kick back folks, and relax. This is your weekend report. Hey folks! I hope you have had a fantastic week. I want to thank you for tuning in for the earthquake report. For the record, today is August the 7th, 2016. This video will speak of earthquake data spanning from July the 30th through August the 5th. It was on this day in 1966, when a 7.0 struck Alaska. Little, if any damage was caused by this earthquake. What's interesting is that this has gone into the history books as being one of the most powerful quakes to strike the United States. This is what's happening. Reports claim Olympic kayaker capsized after hitting an underwater sofa. We may already have our strangest and most amusing story to come out of the Rio Olympic Games. Paul Kelso, a journalist for Sky Sports in the UK, reported on Friday that an Olympic kayaker had capsized after hitting a submerged couch. No, really? The report, which immediately sparked the kayak so-for hashtag on Twitter, was not corroborated by anyone else. Nevertheless, the organizers are taking it seriously enough as to investigate it. This, my friends, is comedy gold. Perseid meteor shower will be extra awesome this year, NASA says. Shooting star seekers heading out to watch the Perseid meteor shower August 11th and 12th may see a much better show than in past years. That's because the Earth will collide with more material than usual from comet Swift-Tuttle, which is the source of the Perseids. Jupiter's gravity has tugged the debris stream in such a way that Earth will move closer to the middle of the stream, rather than the edge, NASA officials said in a statement. I for one, cannot wait. I just hope that we all have a clear view of the sky. Obama's cash payment to Iran was more than a ransom. It broke criminal law. Outrage broke out this week over the revelation that Obama arranged to ship piles of cash, worth $400 million and converted into foreign denominations, reportedly in an unmarked cargo plane. The hotly debated question was whether the payment, which the administration attributes to a 37-year-old arms deal, was actually a ransom paid for the release of American hostages Tehran had abducted. It is a waste of time to debate that point further. The Iranians have bragged that the astonishing cash payment was a ransom, even though Lord Obama has been telling us for months that we can trust the Iranians. The hostages were released the same day the cash arrived. One of the hostages has reported that the captives were detained several extra hours at the airport and told they would not be allowed to leave until the arrival of another plane. Inferentially, the unmarked cargo plane ferrying the cash. The reason American policy has always prohibited paying ransoms to terrorists and other abductors is that it only encourages them to take more hostages. And, as night follows day, Iran has abducted more Americans since Lord Obama paid the cash. I hate to say it, but this again is incredibly embarrassing. Just so you know, you can view these articles and more at our Facebook page. Feel free to zoom over them when you have a moment. You can find the link in the description. Alright. Earthquake report time. Here we go. As mentioned, we finished last week off with 1,882 earthquakes. This, along with today's and yesterday's quakes, brings our monthly total to 1,780. For those interested, we finished July off with 9,142 earthquakes. Wow! For historical reference, a year ago today, we clocked in 402 earthquakes. The strongest to strike the planet then was a 5.8 that struck Rwanda. If you remember, this earthquake left 4 people injured and 6 homes destroyed. Thousands of people across several districts from north and western Rwanda had been forced from their homes, and the Goma Volcano Observatory based in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo measured the earthquake as magnitude 5.8. Well folks, as previously stated, we experienced 3 earthquakes that fell within the magnitude 6 category. These being a 6.3 that struck Hiojima, Japan on Thursday, August the 4th, a 6.1 that hit Argentina also on the 4th, and a 6.1 that originated from the South Indian Ocean on August the 1st. Fortunately, these earthquakes did not cause any damage and no tsunamis were generated. As previously mentioned, we had 23 magnitude 5 plus earthquakes strike. These earthquakes were centered mostly along the Ring of Fire, with the exception of a 5.4 that struck the Indian Ocean on August the 1st, a 5.2 that hit Greece on July the 30th, and a 5.1 that rattled South Georgia and the South Sandwich Islands. Outside of these quakes, no unusual movement, in this category, was detected in locations like Papua New Guinea, Indonesia, Japan, and Russia. We have registered 91 earthquakes that fell within the magnitude 4 range. The most noteworthy earthquakes in this scale include a series of quakes that hit California. These being a 4.4 on August the 4th that shook Janesville and a 4.0 that hit Westmoreland on July the 31st. Mexico also experienced a series of noteworthy earthquakes. These being a 2 4.7s that hit Acapulco, Dawan and Pedon on August the 1st and 2nd. Finally, we experienced a 4.6 just outside of Salina Cruz on August the 3rd. The remaining earthquakes struck, for the most part, locations here in the States. We'll start with Hawaii, which registered 52. All of which were minor with the exception of a 3.4 that struck Hana and a 3.2 that hit Pepigio on Saturday, the 30th. Swarm activity was limited to the usual locations. Alaska clocked in 361 earthquakes. This breaks down to nearly 50 per day. The strongest to strike was a 4.4 in Yakutat and a 4.3 in Amatignac. Washington registered 34. The most intense being a 3.5 that hit Central Park. The average magnitude for all earthquakes to strike Washington was only a 0.9. Oregon's earthquake activity remains normal. Only 10 were experienced. The strongest registered was a 1.4 in Lapine. California experienced an uptick in earthquakes last week. In fact, this was a 31% increase in seismic activity when compared to our previous report, which accounted for earthquakes between July the 9th and July the 15th. In total, the sunny state clocked in 965. The most powerful experienced was the previously mentioned 4.4 in Janesville and the 4.0 in Westmoreland. Not to be left out is a noteworthy 3.9 and a 3.7 that also hits Janesville on the 4th and the 2nd. We'll definitely continue to watch for oddities in this area going forward. Make certain to subscribe to our Facebook page in order to keep up on the latest breaking news and earthquake information. Nevada clocked in 196. The strongest experienced was a 3.1 that hit Sparks. Swarm activity was also centered around the usual locations. This includes Hawthorne, which accounted for nearly 46% of the earthquakes registered. Idaho registered 6 all week. The most intense to strike was a 2.4 in Spirit Lake. Montana experienced 36. The most intense was a 1.4 in Butte. Wyoming clocked in 10. The strongest experienced was a 2.0 that hit the Old Faithful Giza. Utah registered 8. The strongest reported was a 1.5 in Enterprise. Oklahoma clocked in 11. The strongest experienced was a 3.1 in Cherokee and in Blanchard and a 3.0 in Fairview. The New Madrid seismic fault experience movement. These being a 1.3 in New Madrid, Missouri and a 1.9 in Tiptonville, Tennessee. The North American Craton experienced movement as well. Brookdale, New Jersey with a 0.8 and a series of earthquakes that rattled eastern Tennessee. These including a 2.4 in Englewood and a 2.2 in Greenback. Our Canadian pals to the north experienced seismic movement as well. 9 earthquakes in total. The most notable include a 2.0 and a 2.3 in Princeton. Before we wrap up, I want to thank you all for adjusting to the changes to this channel. These changes allow us to provide additional content that I believe you will find to be most interesting. We have a series now focusing on strange disappearances and even breaking news. When you have a moment, check out these videos and provide me with your feedback please. Finally, many of you have been interested in my whereabouts for the past week or so. Many thanks to those of you who did so. You know who you are. I actually went on an adventure of sorts. I rented a vehicle and drove across the United States. I visited 14 states and traveled nearly 6,000 miles. It was an incredible trip and I look forward to sharing with you the videos captured during the adventure. And that's it for the earthquake report. If you experienced an earthquake today, or if you would simply like to chat, please post down below. I would like to hear from you. Make certain to like and subscribe. Share if you feel inclined. Also, if you like the social media thing, you can link to us via the standard allotted social sites in the description. We'll end this report with pictures from my cross-country adventure.